So I definitely struggled the first few years that I was starting peppers from seed. My issue the first year was that I was providing heat for my seeds because peppers do like the temperature to be higher in order for them to germinate. So I think it's about 75 to 85 degrees. So I figured that I may not need a heat mat, that I could just put these seeds on my radiator because it does get quite hot. The issue is, I feel like it was messing up my germination because it would have a period of warm temperature, but then after the radiators turned off, it was a long period of cold temperature. So I think that just confused whatever signals that the seed is supposed to get from the warmth, and the germination was just not very good. The second year, I did go ahead and get a seed mat, and I was able to put my pepper seed on that, get it germinated, and I was getting nice, healthy plants and transplants. But the issue then was I was starting them too late. So by the time the pepper plants were starting to put on an abundance of peppers, the frost was coming up pretty soon. So the perfect combination in order to get a good pepper transplant and a good pepper harvest is both giving your peppers heat in order to germinate, and then also making sure that you are starting them at the right time. I always recommend for you guys, if you are unsure about timing, please look up the gardening calendar that the Farmer's Almanac gives you. They give you a range, and I just start at the higher end of the range and just make my own tweaks as years goes on. For gardening, sometimes it's really just trial and error. So you may not get it that first year, like just quite precisely as you'd like to. But as you continue to garden and continue to start your seeds, you will get a more precise date of what works for you and your climate. So for me in New Jersey zone 7, I need to start my peppers mid-February to early March. The times that I've been doing it has been mid-February, so between like the 18th and early 20s of the month of February, and that has been working great for me. The only thing that I would change for this year is I am going to keep them on the heat mat a little bit longer than when they germinate. Normally, my rule for germination, especially when plants are on the heat mat, is as soon as one pops up, I take it off the heat mat and I put it under the light. But this year, I'm going to try to keep it on that heat mat until maybe majority of that seed tray has sprouted. So that's just something new that I'm going to be starting. So I'm going to get into the different pepper varieties that I'm starting, both hot peppers and sweet peppers. A lot of times it's recommended that you start your hot peppers, maybe a week or so before your sweet peppers. I start them both at the same time. My hot peppers aren't like those really, really hot ones that take a long time to germinate. So I find that starting both of them at the same time has worked really well for me. I think next year I'm going to try to start the sweet peppers earlier than the hot peppers, because even though the transplants are around the same size, the fruiting part becomes an issue with the sweet peppers because the plant has to make a larger pepper, and that takes a longer time period. So what I've found is I need to have my sweet peppers in ground, and they need to be started maybe a week or two prior to my hot peppers, because the hot peppers are making smaller peppers, so you're getting a bunch of those earlier versus the bell pepper plant that now has to make a larger pepper. So that's going to take a lot more time for that pepper to mature. So I'm going to share with you the sweet and hot peppers that I'll be starting this year. Just though this is going to be a long list, I have such a hard time paring back the seeds that I want to start for both the peppers and the tomatoes. So for my tomato video, expect something just as long as this. But I hope I'm able to introduce you guys to some new varieties and just my experience with growing those different types of peppers. This is how I planted the sweet peppers. So you could see that I started by using the top row, and when you're going from the top, you'll have 5 seed cells for each variety, but some of the varieties I only needed like 3. So then some varieties that I wanted to try, or maybe I didn't have a lot of seeds for, I went ahead and just used 2 seed cells at the bottom to go ahead and plant those. So I have the, well, let me grab them out of here too so you could kind of see the pictures of them. So I have the pepperoni pepper here, and I hope you guys can see this well because I'm using my nifty 50 lens, so the camera is pretty far from me, so I can't fully tell if you're able to see. If you're not, I'll just pop a picture up. So I went ahead and planted that first. I want to make sure that I'm saving this separately in order to can. I really enjoy this pepper in my Italian subs, so I want to get an abundance of that. So I did 3 rows for the pepperoni, and for each cell that I'm planting my peppers, I do 2 seeds each. Even though I kind of feel like my germination rate will be good, I just want to make sure, and then if I have extras, I could always give those away. So I did that, and then I had some purple sweet peppers that I saved from 2023. So I put, well, I have 2 of them. I don't know which one is 2023, or I think this one. Then we have a Marconi and Cubanelle. This is a sweet frying pepper packet of seed. It's a blend. And based on the color of the seed, I was able to separate it. So I believe I did maybe 3 or 2 Marconi and the rest Cubanelle. I also planted 2 seed cells of the sweet banana pepper. So I use this pepper packet from Botanical Interest. I have not had a banana pepper in a while, but I do know that I enjoy them, so that's why I just did 2 cells of that. Then I have the California Wonder, the Sweet Bell. These are pretty much one and the same, but I just want to make sure that I am using up my seed packets, so I just like to use a little bit from each. But they're just bell peppers, red and green, or red, orange, and yellow. Then I went ahead and planted some habanada sweet, and I really love the color on this. It's just nice when you're gardening to just get different colors. It just makes things more interesting, and you know, you just get more excited to go ahead and try them. I eat with my eyes, so having like all that different colors is really nice for me especially. And then I planted some Jimmy Nardello. I enjoyed snacking on these. They're sweet pepper. I think I also let some of them dry, so I may do something with that later. Then this new variety here is the candy cane chocolate cherry, and I was initially supposed to buy this from Swallowtail Seeds and I completely forgot, so I made sure that I picked this up from Botanical Interest, and it's just super striking, the different colors and the stripes on the peppers. So essentially it's just your, you know, same bell pepper, but the variegated foliage and the stripes on the pepper just makes it really attractive, kind of like the yellow monster, where you'll have the yellow and the green kind of intermingling. It's just fun to look at. I'm gonna keep this on the radiator for a second, but I'll probably pop out of here and go ahead and put it on the heat mat. Actually, let me do that before we go any further. So I went and grabbed my sweater and actually took a little breakfast and tea break. So we did the sweet peppers, and let me grab the container again. I normally like to use this 40 cell tray for a lot of my seed starting. It is not the sturdiest seed starting tray, and eventually it's going to fall apart, but I've been using them a lot. I just find that it's so much easier to start a bunch of seeds and just either section it by giving them 5 rows, or section it this way by giving them 8 rows, depending on how much seeds I want to start for that variety. And when the trays itself aren't working, because I find that the bottom trays actually fall apart more, I'll just use the humidity dome as the bottom tray. And I find that the humidity dome, the plastic, is just a little bit better than the trays underneath. But I want to get into now the hot peppers. And I chose to actually use my, hold on, let me knock this off a little bit. So I chose to use my soil blocker for this one. I have not used my soil blocker in so long. I actually purchased it back in the pandemic, and I found a video when I was searching for another video to insert as a clip for something else. I spotted a video that I'm going to insert here, and it's just my Maya is in the front. And I think at this point, she's just a few months old, and she's in the carrier, and I'm in the back room, and I'm using the soil blocker. You're supposed to push this down while lifting this. Ooh, look at those. Oh! They're beautiful. And I don't know why I stopped using it. I don't know, for some reason I must have convinced myself that it takes more work, but it really doesn't. And I'm going to do a more in-depth video of how I do my soil blocking, because it's a little bit different. I use a different tray. I use something else at the bottom. And I make my own soil blocking mix, but it's totally not necessary. So I'm going to do a separate video on that for you guys. But yesterday, when I was first intending to do this video, I created some soil blocks, and let me see if you could kind of see that. So they look really good. And then I use the painter's tape here to mark what's in each row. So for every soil block here, I also placed 2 seeds, except for, and I notated it here, the Tunisian bakloti seed. I only placed 1 seed in each because I didn't have enough. But so the soil block has a row of 5. So I did 5 going all the way down, and then I turn it and I do 2 more soil blocks in order to fit 5 more at the side. So each of my row is 6. So I divide it in 3. So one variety has 3 cells, the other variety has 3 more cells. That way I could just put 2 names at the side, and I'm able to, track it easier than if I just kind of did different numbers all over the place. The last row only has 5 because I'm not able to put a soil block just in that space because it's just 1. So that's how that looks. And then afterwards, I up-pot them in either the root trimmer, I think they're like 3.5 inches tall container, or when it comes to the tomato, which grows a little bit faster, I up-pot them in the solo cups. So we have the Tabasco pepper and the Serrano pepper. The Serrano is a Mexican favorite, and it's a large plant that bears club-shaped fruit, very hot and pungent, superb salsa variety. The Tabasco is good for making hot sauce, nice kick in the dish, and perfect in small container gardens due to petite size of plants. So the Tabasco I might do in a container again. You guys know last year I mostly put my hot peppers in the container and kept them along the side of the garden. This year, like I said, I'm just gonna have them all over in the landscape, maybe even in the front, because I'm thinking that the deers may avoid them. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm just gonna be throwing peppers everywhere that I can. I'm not gonna have them in the garden space because I don't need to. They don't have any pests that's really bothering them. Then over from that, I have the Padron, and then I have the poblano pepper. The Padron is new to me. It says it's the tapas pepper of Spain. One pepper will be hot, another not. Cultivated by Spanish monks. And I'm used to the poblano, but this last year that I grew the poblano, I was hoping that they would be a lot larger so that I could stuff them. That didn't happen. They were in containers, so I'm gonna see if it makes, you know, any difference if I go ahead and have it out in the landscape. It says after ripening red and then dry, they are called anchos and are used in mole, adobo, and other sauces. Chunky fruits up to 4 inches long, usually mild with green, may become slightly hotter when red. So maybe they're not supposed to get as big. Maybe I'm confusing it with another pepper. But as you can see, most of the peppers that I have done so far is more like Spanish peppers. And then we are getting into the Thai chili peppers that I love to use. I have the True Thai chilies, the Full Moon, and the Vesuvius. This is from Renee Garden, and it's just a orange and red Thai chili. And then I have the Thai red chili from Baker's Creek, and it just seems like a smaller Thai chili variety. The fruit is 1 inch, easy to dry, fantastic in bold, traditional, and contemporary cooked recipe. The ornamental plants are loaded with bright red peppers packed with pungent heat. And then I have some jalapenos, and it's a trio from Renee's Garden, and it's just about how long you keep it on the vine. Based on how long you'll get the different colors. So it'll start out green and then ripen up gold, orange, and red. Then I have a bunch of cayennes. So I have this cayenne blend, and I think I didn't use all of, I'm just trying to see. Okay, so I separated them because there's a red variety of cayenne in here and a yellow variety, so I separated that. It said these are good for dried or ground for cayenne pepper or red pepper flakes. So that's what I'm going to be using most of these cayennes for. I have the red ember from Johnny Seeds, and then of course I have the purple cayenne, which was okay. Last year I had it out in one of the front beds. It took a while to turn purple, but when it did, it was beautiful. Flavor was great. I have some seeds saved from some Scotch bonnet from 2023, and these are what we call the pepper lights, where they're just like big ginormous Scotch bonnet peppers. The flavor is superb, so I saved some seeds. Hopefully I have good germination with those, because I think that's the only packet of Scotch bonnet I have. I don't have any store-bought. It's just my saved seed. Then I have the shishito pepper, which is a tasty pepper. It's not too hot. And I'm also going to be pickling some of these. I also picked up some new peppers just recently. They actually just came in the mail from Southern Exposure. So I have the Hungarian paprika pepper. I first bought this from Renee's Garden, and I wasn't planning to buy any more seeds from Renee's Garden this year, but I really wanted the Hungarian paprika. So I went to Southern Exposure for, I think it was sweet potato slips for a variety of potato, Covington, that I want to try to grow because it's supposed to grow directly under the vine. And I saw this and I immediately put this in my cart because I wanted to grow more paprika pepper. It's super flavorful and just wonderful dried. And then I bought some pimiento pepper, which it's supposed to be a sweet pepper, but it has a ton of flavor. I found out about this from my friend Stace, and she had purchased some, but I think I gave her back the extras, so I just picked up a packet from Southern Exposure. So that's a sweet pepper, but I had the space to start it here, so I said why not. And then I have some gochujaro pepper, which I do want to dry and make my own powder. I love the powder on cucumbers. It's the same spice that they also add to kimchi. So I thought that would be fun to grow my own. And then we have the Tobago seasoning, relatively close flavor to the Scotch bonnet. And and then I have the habanero Kambahi red, which I think is the same thing as the West Indies red habanero. So you gotta look. Sometimes I just look at the pictures of things, but I have to pay more attention to the labeling because I end up purchasing the same things because the names are just slightly different. These two are new to me as well, the Tunisian baklodi and the datil pepper. The datil was a free packet sent from Baker's Creek. I'm really excited to try that out. There you have it. Those are the hot peppers that I'll be planting out this year. I am going to add some vermiculite on top, though it's not necessary. And I'm just going to make sure I'm monitoring the moisture level for these soil blocks. It's just a little bit harder because, you know, it's just more of a chance of them essentially falling apart if you're trying to like force too much water at a time. Whereas for my tray of sweet peppers, it'll be much easier to just bottom water them and throw out the excess water. You can't really do that with this because of how I have my soil blocks. I know a lot of people, they'll have like a mesh tray where they put it on. That way it's also easier for them to bottom water. But I don't have that, so I had to be mindful of how much water I am giving these plants. So I think I have covered everything for you guys for this video. If you have any questions, as usual, feel free to leave them down in the comment section below. But until then, Irie up yourself, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.